Hello, my loves. Did you miss me last week? I, I haven't got as much to say. So I figured rather than just get on and waffle on, I would just reduce the frequency of the podcast. So you can expect one every second week. If I kind of get the itch, I might create one in between, something like that. Don't really want to have any hard and fast rules around it, but let's just say the schedule is going to be every 2 weeks. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about the fact that success is not linear. I want to talk about the fact that your staying power matters. I want to talk about the difference between people who succeed and the people who fail. But in before I even dive into any of that, I want to have a little bit of a chat about an experience I had today. So it's International Women's Day this week, and I decided to go along to a local event because I just felt like I needed to get out of the house. I was getting a little bit weird, and it's just nice to go and do things. And anyway, I rock up there. I usually go to things pretty early, and I had a lot to do this morning. So I arrived, they said to arrive between 11:30 and 12, and I got there right on 12, and there was no predetermined seating. You just had to go and find a seat somewhere. It was very busy. I don't know how many people there would be there, maybe a couple of hundred. Anyway, I walk in and they give me a voucher for a couple of drinks, and then apparently, so I had to line up for that, and it was a really long line. And then I eventually found a seat and sat down. And then I realized the lunch was like a buffet, and you had to get up and you had to grab your plate and walk along. And I was just like, I don't have time for this. This is not the vibe. And so I sat down. I had one glass of wine. I had a couple of little nibbles of things that were on the table. I had a couple of conversations with some of the lovely ladies on my table. And then the speakers started, and I just, when you know that it's like that was maybe me 10 years ago, would have been inspired, interested by that, but not now. And so I left. I got up and I left. And if you know me, my close friends know this about me, I do not stay anywhere where I'm not feeling the vibe, where I'm not having a good time. So I made my farewells, I said goodbye, and then I just left after about, I don't know, 35 minutes or something like that. And I felt so good. So my marketing person had sent me through in WhatsApp a mock-up of a new video sales letter page. We're doing a rejig of that. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I'm listening to this person talk, and I wasn't that interested. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to go and build out my sales page. I don't get to do that stuff anymore. I don't do that very often. And so I was so excited about it. And I've just finished. So it's 3:36 in the afternoon. Normally I do my recording early in the day because my brain is fried. But I just didn't have time. I had my 7 a.m. inner circle call, and after that, I had to get my walk in or it wouldn't have gotten done. So I went for my walk, I came back, I had my online French lesson, so I had that, and then I had to jump in the shower and wash my hair and all that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, it was time to go. And then, as I say, I got back, I think I left there at maybe 1 o'clock. So it's not far from home. So I came home and I was straight into building out that sales page. And it was just the best time. And I've had zero regrets. I've been sitting here thinking, I'm so glad I came home early. I just would have been, 2 hours behind by the time I got back. Not that it was urgent. It wasn't one of those things that we needed to do right away, but I just felt like I wanted to do it. And so I have this, I guess, propensity to not stay in rooms that don't light me up. And I'm not bothered about being rude. I'm not a rude person. I just made my farewells. I was very lovely. I just said, look, something's come up. I've got to go. And so I left. And I have standards. And standing in a line like a piece of cattle waiting to pick up food that didn't look that enjoyable anyway is just not the vibe. And it wasn't kind of the way that it was promoted. And so I don't care that I walked away from the ticket price or whatever. It's like, whatever. So, a word of advice, but I can remember we went to Hong Kong for my 50th, and my friends will tell you this story that we got on a ferry and we went across one side of Victor Harbour and we were coming back to the other side. And then after we came back, so we caught the ferry across, then we realized we were kind of coming back this way. And then I decided that this is not the vibe. So as we were pulling back to the dock that we actually got on about half an hour into the ride, I said to the ladies, let's get off. And they're like, what? I'm like, are you enjoying this? This is not the vibe. This is not what I had imagined. Let's go find a restaurant somewhere and go get some wine. And they were like, okay. And they just, yeah, I remember just saying to them, what, you want more of this? Like it just wasn't what I had in my mind. And they're like, no, no, you're right. But they wouldn't have thought to get off. They would have just thought, well, we paid for this thing and we're on it now, so we'll stay on it. And I just don't think like that. So I want to encourage you to think like that, right? I want you to think about things that just don't light you up. I remember years ago, a friend of mine and I went to, it was supposed to be, I don't know, some sort of workshop or something like that. And the two of us, we're both pretty hard taskmasters, but we walked in, we sat down, and I think we're in the front row. And the person started speaking, and the two of us just looked at each other like, "Oh no!" And then a few minutes in, we said, "Yeah, this is not the vibe." I said, "Do you want to go out and grab a coffee?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go." So we bailed about 10 minutes into that. Because early on, right? It's not going to get any better. And so we spent a few hours out in the cafe mapping out a business idea that we ended up launching. So it was good to go in and yeah, nothing's ever wasted, right? But if your time is valuable and where you put your attention is really valuable as well. And so if you're not feeling something, you don't have to stay there. That is the moral of the story. All right, so that's that. So now I want to talk to you about the whole idea of what? Yeah, success, how it's not linear, how how people that stick at it the longest are successful. So in my inner circle this morning, there's one lady in there. She just sold a 6 month package and she's got, I think, 12 or 14 people signed up for another thing that she ran. And it's taken us a little while to get there, right? It's just taken a little bit of time. Things take a lot longer than they used to, right? This lady is not using the podcast millionaire. She's using my lower level podcast promotion product. So that will take a lot longer than the podcast millionaire to just get all that traffic and for it to be happening. But it's finally coming together for her. And now we mapped out the strategy for, well, we know this works and you enjoy it. We know that works and you enjoy that. And we know that that works and you enjoy that. So now let's map out what this looks like every quarter or every 4 months. And let's start to build a rhythm into this thing. And then we can start to apply more traffic and all those things. And it was just a great conversation because she's hit the tipping point now. Things are happening. And that's always a really good feeling, right? But it wasn't a good feeling 2 months ago when it felt like nothing was working, right? And I have another client at the moment who is, she's doing the podcast Millionaire. She's just come on board for that. But she's also building a funnel, like a sales funnel for a low end product that moves people into a higher ticket product. And I give my inner circle people access to my marketing expert. So if they want access to her, they can have access to her. Nobody else can, though. And so she's been working with my person. And this morning, sales had started coming through. She just rebooted the campaign. It's looking very different. We're talking meta campaign. We all use ads. And she started this new campaign and the sales had started coming through. And she said something along the lines of, yeah, I hope this works or something along those lines. And I just said, what do you mean it will work? Maybe we need to keep tweaking it. Maybe we need to shorten the sales page a little bit. Maybe we need to tighten the copy. We change the ads and the ads are performing so much better than the other ones. So we know that that's taken care of. But it's not a matter of will this be successful? It's a matter of when will it be successful because we stick with things until. And it was the same with my other client, right? And so I want you to take the mindset that it's not will this or won't this work? It's like when will it work? And it's a matter of sticking with it, right? And so the last thing that I felt like, I really liked my last video sales letter. I liked it, but my marketing expert is an expert for a reason, and I trust her. And she said to me, I'm going to do a mock up of a new page. I feel like this is going to be a better option. It's just going to speed up the transition time from cold and interested and coming back to the site a few times before they click the button to book the call. She said, I think we can shorten that window. I'm all about that. And so she sent me this page. And of course, I looked at it and it's like, oh, it's completely different. Nothing looks the same. And I'm looking at all the design that she's got going on there. And I'm like, oh, this is going to take ages to do this. And, my brain started going there. But in my mind, I was having this conversation with myself. And it's like, yeah, but do you want a better result or not? Do you want a faster result or not? Do you want to listen to the person that you're paying to advise you or not? And it's like, don't be a dumbass, just get in there and do it. And so I built it. It's like it took me 2 hours, but it's done. And like 2 hours is nothing. And yeah, it was a little bit fiddly. And no, it doesn't look exactly like her mock up, but I got it, I reckon 90% there, 95% there. It looks pretty close. Can't wait to see what she's got to say and get it up and running. But nobody likes to go back to the drawing board, or we're not going back to the drawing board, but nobody likes to go and redo things that they've done before. Nobody likes to have a sales page that they love and is working okay, and for someone to say, I think we need to redo it so we can get a better result. Nobody likes that, but that's what it takes. And so maybe you've got something running and it's like the results are okay, or there aren't any results coming in, and you can chase something else bright and shiny, or you can say, how am I going to get this, pardon me, how am I going to get this to work? Because you want it to work, right? You want to see it all the way through, right? Of course you do. And so if you want to see it all the way through, if you want to see it doing what you want it to do, then you just got to give it the time. And sometimes it means spending 2 or 3 hours redesigning a page when you really don't want to because you don't see a problem with the other one, right? So it's not linear, right? So it, my clients, anyone, it would be great to say, let's just launch this thing and we nail it straight away and then we get amazing results and now we start to scale it. If it was like that, everyone would be in business and everybody would be successful, but that's just not the way it is. And it takes risk. So I was speaking with a friend of mine. I'm just looking at, I walked this morning and I walked when the UV was low and it looks like I still got burnt and I'm mad at myself. Um, I've been chatting with a friend of mine and she was talking about a couple of things. She has been trying to get her business to work for a very long time. She moved over from a non-English speaking market to the English speaking market, and the business that she had running in the other language, the other country, worked very well. And since she's come into the English market, she's been trying a lot of different things and yeah, like not really giving things a lot of time to see them through. And recently she saw a membership program and she's like, I would really love to do something like this. And I said, yeah, of course. But let's unpack, because I know this woman's product. Let's unpack what it took to get this to this point. So we're talking about 10 years. We're talking about probably an investment of at least $2 million dollars in traffic, in team, in rebuilds, in customer support, all those things. And it's a low level offer. So, have you been in the community and had a look at the people that are actually in the community? Are they at the level of the people you want to be working in? And my advice to her was go to the future and imagine running that. Imagine that being a business, a successful business. You're in it, it's running, it's doing very well. Are you happy? And she said, no. And I said, no. And I said, there's nothing wrong with doing something like that. But you've got to be prepared to invest. You've got to be, if you want a membership with 5,000 people in it, you're going to have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that happen. Now, people will tell you you don't have to do that, but they're lying or they're one of the unicorns that happened to them for. And yeah, like I could talk about it all day long. I won't, but I want you to think about the investment that it's going to require. If you're sitting there telling yourself, I'm just going to create a membership program, you have a very small audience, right? Across your social medias or whatever, you've got a small email list, and you think that just building it means that it will be successful. Building it and running it are two different things. And the thing that's most important is how are you going to market it? How are you going to sell it? So I had a client inside my inner circle ask me a couple of days ago. She said, what do you think about digital courses? Because I'm thinking this course I'm running at the moment, I'll record everything and then I can sell it as a digital course. And I'm like, you can do that, but you've got to sell it like anything else. You've still got to sell it. So what is the system that you want to create for selling it? Because having the product and selling the product at volume are two different things, and it costs money to do that, right? So if you are sitting on the fence and you're like, well, I think I want to do this, or I think I want to do that, or whatever, or I've seen someone over there with this product that looks amazing, I want to do that too. Maybe unpack it a little bit. Ask yourself, what do I think it costs them to achieve that? And I'm talking money, not just the time and all the other things. I'm talking about money. What do you think it costs them financially to achieve that result? And if I were you, I'd probably 10x it because you'd be underestimating what it costs to achieve that level. So I don't want to come in here and rain on your parade. That's not what I'm about, but I'm about making a decision about what it is that you want your business to be about. Before that, who are you? So my advice to my friend is don't create anything until you've done the identity piece first. Figure out who you want to be, how you want to operate in the world, what that looks like with success. And then that's going to give you clues about what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. And when you're in that identity state, what would you create then? Instead of being a struggling coach, trying to figure out what am I going to create that's going to sell? That's not the vibe. You've got to go to that place. You're successful, you're doing very well, your products are doing very well. What are you doing in that moment? That if it's fun and you're loving it, what does it look like? And make a decision and just know that it's not going to be easy. And so it might take you a lot longer than you expect that it's going to take you. But the option is to quit and go and do something else and then still not get a result. And you'll just continue to chase your tail for a long time. So make a decision and then strap in and know that it's going to require investment. I see so many coaches, and this is the reason I had to get out of working with coaches in the capacity that I was working with them in. And that is not having the mindset to invest. So, my friend, for example, I said to her, why don't you duplicate what you did in the other country? It worked. And she's like, yeah, well, why am I not doing that? And I'm like, well, I do not know. Let's figure that out. And then, we had this conversation. She's really excited about it now. And I said, well, if that's what you're going to do, be prepared to invest. In your mind, set a budget of 20, 30, 40, $50,000 and know that this is the budget that you need to invest to get this thing to grow. So whether that's in a team, whether that's in traffic, whether that's in team and traffic, all the things. And that's how you've got to look at it. You can't look at it in terms of scrapping your way there. I've just seen too many of you doing that, and it exhausts me. I can't keep working in that. I don't work in that capacity anymore, but it's like if you want to, okay, I'm ranting, aren't I? But it's like if you went to decide, just say you decided you wanted to be a surgeon, right? And that's how you're going to make your money. It's going to cost you to become a surgeon, right? It's going to cost you to become a successful surgeon. You have to invest in your education. If you have a business, it's not a fucking hobby, it's a business. And so you have to invest in your business if you want it to, if you're serious about it, if you're serious, if you're not serious and you're happy to just potter along and take whatever you can get and you're happy with that, that's fine. But otherwise, you're going to have to really have a look at things and ask, well, do I really back myself? Am I prepared to get uncomfortable? Am I prepared or not to invest a chunk of money in the success of this business? And you've got to, of course, be careful about where you put that money because we know that, you've probably invested before and it's not given you what you wanted. But sometimes the investments haven't worked out the way you've wanted them to because you haven't had the level of clarity or you haven't had your framework in place. There's probably a lot of reasons why things haven't worked. And not all of it is going to be, sitting at your feet. There is no doubt that there are people out there that don't deliver on promise and all that sort of stuff. So there's no doubt about that. But there's a big part of, there's a role that you're playing in that too, right? And so you've got to be really fully owning who you are, what your business is about, what you want it to be. So the other day, I was sitting there and I had been doing a 3 year projection for the podcast Millionaire. And my COO, I had spoken to her about that. And she said, can you please record me an audio and send it to me so I can align my thinking to it? She's brilliant. And so I said, yeah. And I was on my walk and I spent about, I don't know, it was under 5 minutes anyway, just letting her know what that looked like. And it felt so lovely. It was so calm. It was so grounded. It was so rooted in reality, and very, very clear and very, very simple. And so I've been listening to that audio a few times, right? And it's not like anything wildly different is going to happen from the end of 12 months to the end of 3 years, but there's some small tweaks that we're making and things, a little bit of scale going on and things like that. But it was just such a nice reminder of how far I have come as a CEO, as a business owner, and I used to, everything was in a hurry. And actually, when I was speaking with my friend on voicemail the other day, she said, I need a way to find, I need a fast way to figure out how to make 20,000 a month. And I just said, we don't do fast because fast is hurried, it's rushed, and it doesn't usually last. So we don't talk about fast in my inner circle, or we don't the podcast millionaire. It's not fast. It's legacy. It takes time to establish and build and grow legs and do what it needs to do. And I said, so instead of fast, how about if you think about considered, like very well considered, very well thought out? And what if you didn't need it to happen yesterday? What if you gave yourself 12 months to get it to consistent 20K months? It might not take that long, but what if instead you set the expectation that it might take you 12 months to get there and you just got to stick it out until you achieve that outcome? And if that's the case, then you'll be building something that is going to be lasting. And she was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I needed that." She said, "That's the thing. I've been trying to do fast for the last 5 years and it just nothing's worked." And I said, "No, because everything's throwaway. You've got to really ground yourself in what you want. What do you want to build? What do you want to be proud of 5 years from now, 10 years from now?" And go and build that and be considered, be deeply thoughtful about what you're creating and how you want to create it and who you want to be in that process. And you're going to create something outstanding. So, again, if you're in that mindset of like, I need to hurry up and find a way to make 10,000 a month or 20,000 a month or 100,000 a month or whatever it is, ask yourself how good it feels to feel like it has to be fast, because it doesn't. And the reality is, all of that rushing is not getting you where you want to go anyway. It's just making you crazy and you're churning out things at a rapid rate instead of taking your time to develop the one thing. And I know this from experience, right? Like I used to do this shit all the time, especially like 2016, 2017, 28, all those earlier years. There was one, I can't even remember exactly when it was, but I was launching like a new product every month. And I loved it for a period of time. I really loved it. And I had a lot of the same people joining the next program and the next program, and that was all great. But I remember one day just thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore. And it's been progressively getting more and more of the I don't want as the years have gone on, right? And now I built something that is so strong and so drenched in legacy, and I'm excited about it. And if it means I come home from an event that I wasn't that excited about anyway, and I spend a couple of hours building a page because I can do it and I want it done. So the reality is, I can pay someone to build that page and make it the exact page. But what's the turnaround going to be? It's going to be probably at least 2 weeks, right? When I know I can do it. There's not a lot I'm doing at the moment. Like, there's not a lot I'm doing in my business because my team are doing everything for me. And so it was great to roll up my sleeves now and get into it. Anyway, that went everywhere today. I hope you got something from it. The main things that I want you to, couple of things, yeah, don't stay in rooms where you're not feeling the vibe. You can leave. Like, there's no rule that says you have to stay to the very end. You just don't have to. That's why I always go on my own as well. And then the other thing is asking yourself the question, when will this work? How will I get it to work? Not will this work? Because if you're committed to making something work, you're going to stick it out, and you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure out. You're going to stay with it, and you're going to figure out how to get it to work. And I think that's it. All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks, if not before. Bye for now.